Well, guys, thanks for doing this. And I certainly have been on the other side of you several times, and I've heard your story, and I know who you are. But just a little bit, I'd love to get some context, just to go like, hey, who are you, and how'd you come to Northpoint? How'd that whole thing happen?
We came to Northpoint because her sister had come to Northpoint in October 2018, invited us. We never left, so from there we got into a Marriage Matters group in 2021 and a couple other couples groups and different things, and I got baptized.
I got plugged in Wombaland for a while serving and check in and that kind of thing. So
Yes, such cool moments. I also know that we've talked about giving before, and I'd just be curious, like, what led you guys to give to Northpoint? What was that like for you?
I think initially starting, it wasn't out of obligation, but it was out of a sense of like, this is what we're supposed to do, or our responsibility of giving. For me, it was more as we gave, it became, I don't know, a way of worshiping God. It just became this way of loving Him. And I always remember how you said in one of your sermons a long time, you can't really, when your hands are closed, it's hard to catch, the blessings of God. And so as you open them, and so the more we had our hands so tight, it was just hard. But as we did that, we could feel and experience and see all the blessings God gave us, and it like just kind of overwhelmed us with gratitude.
That's really cool. Well, I love that you guys did that. And how about you, Randall? Was there anything like, I know giving is just, it's attention. It really is. And so for you, was that any different than what Kelsey shared?
I'd say it was very similar. At first it's like, I don't want to let go of my stuff, that I earned and different things. And then once we kind of got into the understanding that it's not ours, it's all His anyway, and just being bought in kind of to the mission of Northpoint and seeing all the different life change that happens, I think that's what really helped us kind of lean in more to giving.
That's so cool. Well, I just know, for you guys to do that is a really big deal. Jesus says, hey, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And it's like, that's your security, that's your passion. That's a lot of your identity's wrapped up in that. And you guys have been so faithful to be willing to say, God, I'm going to trust you. Like you said, everything under the sun belongs to you. I'm going to trust you with what you've entrusted to us. And as a result, and one of the things I've seen in y'all's lives, and then all around, and I talk about it almost all, every Sunday I get to teach, is the idea of life change. There's so much life change. It's really cool that God allows us to be part of that, to co-labor with Him. And I get a front row seat to that. And I talk about, that's one of the best parts of my job, is I get to hear stories of marriage and stories of the next generation and stories of individuals who go, Buck, I just want to thank you. And every time they do, I go, no, I'm so grateful for God's grace, but I'm so grateful for the generosity of so many people, just like you, Kelsey, and just like you, Randall, who are willing to trust God and invest in something that's eternal, but also something that's very tangible, that does change lives. And so, I could personally thank you and say, hey, here's all the different things, and here's, story after story. But instead of me thanking you, we actually would like several others to thank you for your generosity and your faithfulness.
It's nice to meet y'all. I'm Carly.
Nice to meet you.
I'm a freshman at A&M, but I wanted to tell y'all. But I wanted to tell y'all a little bit about me and thank y'all for everything that you do. I did not grow up going to a church, but junior year I actually got invited to Northpoint, to Inside Out in Camp 75. It's a really big part of my story because that was where I found my faith and my community and my best friends. And so I just want to thank y'all for giving and trusting and the church and God with your money, because it's done so much, for me personally, and I know for so many other high schoolers and even the younger kids. Northpoint has changed my story completely. I didn't have church or anything beforehand, but yeah, I just wanted to thank y'all. It was nice to meet y'all.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
It's our turn. Hi.
Hi.
Melissa, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
How are you?
Hi.
Mark.
Nice to meet you, Mark.
Hey, nice to meet you. So I'm Mark, and this is my wife, Melissa. She's from San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I'm from upstate New York, and we both moved to Austin in 2016, where we met each other. We got married in 2018, and we have 4 kids together, ages 21 to 1. And we had kind of stopped going to church for a couple years, and we were in a pretty dark place in our marriage and just life in general. And we walked in and almost immediately just felt an overwhelming sense of being welcomed, and I think you signed us up for Marriage Matters pretty quickly.
So yes, we joined Northpoint and we started a Marriage Matters, a group and a community that saved our marriage completely. And I'm gonna get emotional, I'm sorry.
No.
So I wanted to say thank you, because that's what it did, having a community that we could trust, that we didn't have before. Having my boys, beg us to go to church. Literally, he wakes up, I'm ready, and I'm like, you don't look ready. And having a 16-year-old that didn't know God, and like people like you were the reason we were able to walk in, and she found a community. Not only she serves at 9 every Sunday, she goes at Inside Out at 4, and she created this community with 2 leaders that I saw them on her game, right, on Liberty Hill, because she's part of the dance team, the Bells. And I'm like, why are you guys here? And they're like, we're here to support her. And that made me cry all the way home.
You can make me.
Yeah. So I wanted just to say, at least for my side, and I will let Mark speak, is thank you.
And the last thing that I'll say is, my wife's from Puerto Rico, and she moved here. She lived there her whole life, moved here in 2016, and culturally completely different. And so when my wife was like, Mark, I think Northpoint is our home, like that was just transformative, because it's not easy for, a Latina or anyone, culturally to find a home. And not only has it been a place where we've been able to grow, our family's been able to grow, but she's been able to give back and getting involved with a Latina group and helping get that going. And so
you guys made that possible.
Thank you so much.
So thank you. It means the world to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, hello there.
Jamal.
Well, I'm Jamal, and I am the music and production director. And that's important because back in 2019, I was a guy who had stepped away from church. I was a guy I grew up in a kind of a troubled home, but I was adopted by some pretty amazing folks who took me in, and they made it a point to take me to church every Sunday that they could. But I didn't really have a faith of my own. And so several things happened. I experienced some church hurt, and that led me in my early 20s to step away from God. And I didn't think I would ever be back, to be honest with you. And then somebody invited me in 2019 to come apply my craft as an audio engineer, and I didn't know where it would lead. But I came in and I found a community of people who weren't afraid to not be perfect, who were just instrumental in helping me discover what it could look like to have a faith of my own, to know that I have a Heavenly Father that loves me for me, despite my past, despite our past, is just incredible. And it's because of the faithfulness and generosity of people like you that I was able to come in and have a place to call my home. So I want to say thank you.
Thank you, man.
Do we have tissues?
Hi guys, I'm Jennifer. It's nice to meet you. I found Northpoint probably about 1.5 years ago. My husband and I had moved to the Leander area right in the middle of COVID, and so we didn't really get to find a church until we felt comfortable going with our girls. But when I came, it was right when last year's group season was launching. I also had just a really tough childhood, and I knew that I wanted to process some of the trauma that I experienced in my childhood, and so I joined one of the groups that would help me do that, and it changed my life. It was very transformative to not only me, but also to my family and to my relationship with my husband. And part of my testimony is that now I'm on the other side of it, and I'm actually leading that group now. So, yeah, I wanted to thank you guys.
So, that is why I say all the time, that's one of my favorite parts of the job, that I get to hear life-change stories week after week, and what God is doing through the incredible people of Northpoint and through your faithfulness to be generous. And I'm just curious, like you guys have heard just a little bit of just what God has done through your generosity. So how do you guys process that? What are you guys thinking? What are you guys feeling?
that blows my mind because we gave because we were grateful to Northpoint for that life change in our lives. We were in the Marriage Matters group. We have little kids that go into Wamba Land. We had a marriage that was on the rocks. We'll have a high schooler one day. I came from a hard church background, and the change that Northpoint has done in our lives, my husband getting baptized, I got to baptize my sister at Northpoint. Like, we were so grateful to God for that. And so to see it even trickle further than the initial reason we gave in the first place is very touching.
Well, I just don't take any credit. Like, it's, you know, we did it because we were grateful, like my wife said, and
now we're more grateful.
I mean, a lot of people gave before us, and we'll give after. So it's, you know, it's just incredible to see.
Yeah, it's exactly right. It doesn't belong to us, and we will continue and hope that others do. And it's like together, you know, you accomplish something through God. It's just really cool.
Yeah, one big family.
I love it. Well, guys, thank you. Thank you for your willingness to trust God. Thank you for giving. It does tangibly change lives. And I'm so grateful, and my hope today is just a little deposit to go how your generosity can not only impact lives, but impact families and impact legacies. And I love that God invites us into this. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Love you guys.